is the product of your national security, the result of your struggle for independence and your many victories. We, Ukrainians, will also go through our war of independence and freedom with dignity and success. We'll celebrate Christmas. Celebrate Christmas, and even if there is no electricity, the light of our faith in ourselves will not be put out. If Russian missiles attack us, we'll do our best to protect ourselves. If they attack us with Iranian drones and our people will have to go to bomb shelters on Christmas Eve, Ukrainians will still sit down at the holiday table and cheer up each other. And we don't have to know everyone's wish, as we know that all of us, millions of Ukrainians, wish the same: victory. Only victory. We already built strong Ukraine with strong people, strong army, strong institutions together with you. We developed strong security guarantees for our country and for entire Europe and the world together with you. And also together with you, we'll put in place everyone who will defy freedom. Put in. This will be the basis to protect democracy in Europe and the world over. Now, on the special Christmas time, I want to thank you, all of you. I thank every American family which cherishes the warmth of its home and wishes the same warmth to other people. I thank President Biden and both parties at the Senate and the House for your invaluable assistance. I thank your cities and your citizens who supported Ukraine this year, who hosted our Ukrainians, our people, who waved our national flags, who acted to help us. Thank you all, from everyone who is now at the front line, from everyone who is evading victory. Standing here today, I recall the words of the President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which are, I think, so good for this moment. The American people
Welcome to this special edition of Hannity. I'm Jason Chaffetz, sitting in for Sean tonight. American taxpayers may be on the hook for another reckless, massive, bloated $1.7 trillion omnibus spending spree. It's a bill released in the dead of night, thousands of pages long, that basically, nobody read it. It's filled with waste and far-left pet projects, and all done with the support of the swamp. We have full coverage just ahead. But first tonight, Ukrainian President Zelensky arrived in Washington today as Congress debates giving him another $45 billion in U.S. aid. Here he is speaking to Congress just moments ago.
From the United States to China, from Europe to Latin America, and from Africa to Australia, the world is too interconnected and interdependent to allow someone to stay aside and at the same time to feel safe when such a battle continues. And your support is crucial, not just to stand in such fight, but to get to the turning point to win on the battlefield. We have artillery. Yes. Thank you. We have it. Is it enough? Honestly, not really. Thank you for both financial packages you have already provided us with and the ones you may be willing to decide on. Your money is not charity. It's an investment in the global security and democracy that we handle in the most responsible way.
Here for reaction, author of The Giant Awakens, retired Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. Colonel, thanks for joining us. There are some people that are concerned that, $110 billion, is that money well spent? The president's assuring us that he's going to deal with it responsibly, but $110 billion, the American people aren't seeing that kind of money. It's coming out of their pockets.
Well, it's coming out of all of our pockets. It's money well spent. In my humble opinion, this is very much like what Ronald Reagan did back in the 80s. And I do have some experience with that. I know that makes me a lot older than most of our viewers. But in fact, he believed in supporting freedom fighters. He did it in Latin America. He did it in Angola, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique. He did it in Afghanistan. Those people were willing, as the Ukrainian people are, to use their blood and our bullets. And by the way, most of that 110 billion total between the 45, the 1.7, and the previous 65 over 110 billion is spent here in the United States. It's provided to contractors and defense logisticians and the kinds of people who build the kinds of systems that we're getting. So most of that money is spent here in America. Good, hardworking Americans have the jobs. And when you look at that kind of an investment, what would be the difference if when the giant does awake, and that's all about communist China. It's just not a plug for this book. The idea of it is to make sure that they get the right message and to make sure that Putin gets the right message. No more invasions. And that means that people in Taiwan are going to need the same kinds of weapon systems that we're now providing to the Ukrainians. And we better get hot at it because the communist Chinese aren't backing down, but they're watching very carefully what we're doing. And so, Jason, in my humble opinion, this is money well spent. And it's expensive stuff. The Patriot batteries themselves are very expensive. When you look at each one of the Patriot PAC-3 missiles, literally comes in well over $1 billion a battery and $1 million a missile. So you're trying to shoot at stuff that's being flown by Putin as he's trying to redraw the boundaries of Europe. A Patriot battery, 1.5 billion. Each Patriot missile, 4 million. The max range about 100 miles. So the Iranians Shahed drones, 80-pound warhead, 25K apiece. That's what we're up against. And he's got volleys and volleys of them that they're firing at infrastructure in the dead of winter.
Colonel, the concern is that Vladimir Putin turns this suddenly into World War III. You're familiar with Putin. Does this provoke him in such a way that it gives him a justification to escalate war and take it outside the bounds of Ukraine?
Look, he's been rattling the nuclear saber since before all this began on the 24th of February. And Putin does this routinely. And in my humble opinion, I don't think Vladimir Putin could fire a nuclear weapon anywhere in Europe. I think there have been so many mutinies in his armed forces. There are some people who are just not going to push the button. They're not going to go to the right place with that missile launch system. Their permissive action link program is entirely different than ours. That weapon has to be in the right place to be fired at a very specific target. And there's pilots that aren't going to fly their weapons. The downside, from my opinion, the downside of the Patriot batteries is they're only sending one. The maximum range for a Patriot missile is about 100 miles, okay? And there's a minimum range because you don't want it going off right over your head. And if Vladimir Putin puts his hypersonic weapons on an aircraft that's over Russia, are they going to authorize the launch of a Patriot missile into Russia? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that need to be worked out in this thing. Not only the training time it takes to make sure that folks can do it. Sure. And uncertain things always happen in war. Been there, done that. Yes.
Well, and worth the discussion in this country. I wish we would have more of a debate about it. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, thank you for joining us tonight on Hannity. Do appreciate it. All right, now Congress is rushing to pass a massive $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill to fund the government, meaning the incoming House Republican majority won't get a say when they take power in January. Here with the latest from Capitol Hill is our Fox's own Chad Pergram. Chad.
Jason, good evening. The goal is to finish the bill tonight, perhaps 3 in the morning, $1.7 trillion without much time to consider the bill. Otherwise, the government closes Saturday.
How do you respond to the criticism from these conservative Republicans saying that the process behind this omnibus is broken? It's thousands of pages and it's been out, less than 48 hours at this point.
There are Democrats and Republicans saying the process of moving big pieces of legislation in this Congress is broken. I'm going to vote for this omnibus. I think it is the least bad option we have going.
We expect a coalition of all Senate Democrats and 10 Republicans to vote yes. Many of the GOP yeas will come from retiring Senators Roy Blunt of Missouri. He's one. Rob Portman of Ohio is another. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says if the GOP was in charge of the Senate, he'd handle things differently. But Republicans have no choice.
But given the reality of where we stand today, senators have two options this week, just two. We will either give our armed forces the resources and the certainty that they need, or we will deny it to them.
In the bill, $45 billion for Ukraine. But some Republicans, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Speaker candidate Andy Biggs, oppose helping Ukraine. Greene called the aid absurd. She referred to Vladimir Zelensky as a shadow president. Biggs asked how much money was enough. There are other GOP no's.
I'm for giving them money and per month, but all at once, all of a sudden it's going to be gone, and it was, and now we're back doing it again.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer indicated he's concerned the Senate may not be able to forge an agreement tonight that could trigger a procedural vote to break a filibuster on Friday. And Jason, I've just been told there might be a holdup on the bill over Title 42. Republican Mike Lee of Utah wants to get a vote on that tonight. And I'm told that the Democrats are concerned that that might pass. Back to you.
Chad, thank you very much. House Republicans appear to be united in their opposition to the omnibus bill. So the big question is, what will Senate Republicans do? This package contains billions in pork and woke handouts, provides border security for Middle Eastern countries, but doesn't guarantee much for our own, and emboldens Biden's bureaucrats, all while undermining American prosperity. And it's all happening just weeks from when a new House majority will take power. Here with more, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. Whip Scalise, I had the honor and privilege of serving with you in the House. I've been down this path with you before because it's Nancy Pelosi's policy, basically take it up till December 23rd. Everybody wants to get home. It's Christmas. There's bad weather. What can House Republicans do at this point other than hope that the Senate, stalls this bill? What's the plan?
Well, Jason, we're fighting it. We're whipping against this bill, but we're also exposing just how many bad things are in this bill. And I think that's where the country is getting engaged. And, you just mentioned through Chad Pergram that Mike Lee is going to attempt an amendment to try to reverse what the administration is doing, letting Title 42 expire. I hope Mike Lee's successful, but there's absolutely nothing in this bill for border security. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Nobody can tell you what's in it. It was just filed, and they're going to vote on it in dark of night. It would be ironic, but appropriate that they would try to vote on it at 3 in the morning. This is a bad bill for taxpayers, but we've got to change the way that business is done in Washington. It's what we ran on. We won the House majority on that, but you see them running this thing through by dark of night with billions in things that they're doing border security in foreign countries, and they're impeding border security in our country. Everything about this is the wrong way to go. I hope they reverse course.